That's what war is. Now, are you doing that? Are you warring a good warfare? Are you fighting back? Are you being a good soldier? Or are you sitting there taking it? Guess what? You're not a good soldier if you're sitting there taking it. You're not warring. Your number one problem is you're not warring. What's warfare? Greek says this. An expectation, a campaign, a military service, or warfare. Paul, he likens his contest with the difficulties that oppose him in his discharge of his apostleship duties as warfare. Things that will come against you to keep you from doing your calling. Things that will keep you from doing what God asked you to do is warfare. Exactly what we told you several years ago. Warfare's intent is to knock you off the goal of God. That's all it is. Warfare is to knock you off God's plan. That's all warfare is. He's trying to knock you off, but the only way you can war a good warfare is to be a good soldier. You got to get in the fight. You can't sit back and expect God to fight every fight for you and have a big pity party and expect to win. He's saying, you're going to have to get in fight now. You get in, I'll win them for you. You get in, you fight, and it gets tough, I'll take the enemy out for you. Look at the Old Testament prophets. They went through ups and downs. I love to use David. When he was first anointed, that man was on fire. Killed lions, killed bears with his bare hands, and killed Goliath with a slingshot. But look at him. After the enemy came after him, Saul, who was guided by Satan, he ran and hid. He ran from him. When he was guaranteed to be anointed king. I believe if he had stood up against Saul and said, you can't do nothing, Saul couldn't have done nothing. I really do. I believe if he'd have fought the fight, being a good soldier instead of running, he'd have won that battle. But when he figured it all out and got to the point that he realized God was in control and God could win any fight, he got back on top. Believers go through that. Every one of us, you got to admit, when you first got this, you was like that. Ain't nothing going to whoop me. I got God on my side. I can do it. I can do it. Then you went through a hump. You went through a hump. You went down. And tonight you can get back on top. And you can put the enemy in his place. And you can war a good warfare. You can get in the war if you want to. You can be a good soldier, in other words. An expected fight. You're going to fight till the day you leave here. If you want to make it to heaven, you're going to fight. And I'll give you the saying I gave this church about 1.5 years ago or so. If you ain't going to fight, you're better off to go out in this world and commit all the sins you can and enjoy what life you can. Because guess what? I'm worried you ain't going to make it. I'm worried at the end that you're going to end up short. By laying in that way of dying, not obeying God, because only those who do the will of the Father shall enter in. Now, how are you going to do the will of the Father if you're wrapped up in a spider's web? How are you going to do it? If you're miserable, down, chaotic, destroyed all the time, how are you going to be willing to do the will of the Father? How are you? I'm worried about people's souls like that. I'm concerned if they're going to make it. I'm concerned in the end. I'm not the judge. It's not up to me. I'm just saying I'm concerned. Now, God will judge right. But I'm concerned about people that's in a depressed, deep down, dark, deep place that don't do nothing for God. Where are they going to stand on judgment? Where are they going to stand? Now, where would you think you would stand? If you was standing in front of God Almighty, shaking at your knees, can't even put your eyes on Him because He's so powerful and so mighty, so beautiful. Where do you think you're going to stand? If you're letting the enemy get the upper hand on you. If you're not fighting back, people. If we're not getting a hold of this and putting the enemy in his place, what are we going to do? We're going to sit there and get beat every time. You're equipped to win every battle you want to fight if you'll fight. Let's watch Jesus at warfare. And let's see what He does. Let's go to Matthew chapter 14, verse 8. And let's see what Jesus does in warfare. Let's see how he handles it. This is the man that's got the power to do anything. He does. Got the power to do anything. Matthew chapter 14, verse 8 through 14. The Word says this. Matthew 14, 8. And she, being before the instructed of her mother, said, Give me here John the Baptist's head in a charger. And the king was sorry, nevertheless, for his own sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told Jesus. When Jesus heard of it, he departed hence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the city. And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion toward them, and healed their sick. His cousin, the one he loved, the one that laid the footsteps for him, the man that went before him. He loved this man greatly. He loved John the Baptist. That's family, man. That's blood family. Not just one of his children, but blood family. Now, he could have raised him from the dead. All he had to do is say, without the head or whatever, get up. He could have killed Herod. He could have wiped them all out. But did he do it that way? No. He went to spiritual warfare and made the devil mad by healing people. Amen. That's what he did. He went to spiritual warfare. He didn't cry. He didn't bellyache. He didn't get caught up in the web. He went on and done what Paul said to Timothy. You go on by the prophecies and you war a good warfare. You do your duty. No matter what war comes against you. No matter who dies, no matter what happens, you go on. You got to go on and do if you want to win. If you want to put Satan in his place, you got to fight back. You got to obey God. You want to see the powers of God get people saved, get miracles done. You want to make Satan mad. That's how you make him mad. You don't make him mad sitting there going, why? Why? You don't make him mad going, how come? How come? You make him mad when you get out in them fields and you do work. That's how you make him mad. That's how you get him and destroy him, is when you use the spiritual powers inside of you and you don't sup and you don't cry and you don't bellyache about what comes upon you. But you go back and you fight. You go fight. That's how you win. That's how you overcome. Now, buddy, I got some serious situations going on in my life. Do I have a right to lay down and sup up? Humanly, yes. Scripturally, no.
That's right.
That's right. That's exactly right. And a human being, I should be laying there going, oh, it's me. My daughter. My daughter, my daughter. But no, you know what I said? It's on. You're on, big boy. It's on now. You've touched too much. You've been after me and my wife, now you're after my children. Enough's enough. If I don't put you in your place, what are you going to do next? What are you going to come at me next? I'm putting you in your place, son. I have had enough of you. I've had enough of these things. We got clear instructions of how to fight warfare. And it is not setting back something up. It is not letting the enemy get us in spider webs. It's not getting off course. It is going out and doing God's work. That's how you make Satan mad. Now, if you want to get mad at somebody for your problems, that's who you need to get mad at. I don't care if a person's come against you or a situation's come against you. The core of the problem is Satan. He is, what I told you, is out to steal life from you. And I can see it in your eyes. He's stealing it. He's stealing it from you. Why? Enemies, as we told you, was going to come against you. And you're letting these enemies come against you instead of warring a good warfare. Instead of fighting back, instead of being a good soldier and going on and doing what God has for you. Are we doing these things? Are we fighting? Look at the enemies that's against you. You're worrying about things. Some of you are worrying about things.